Good evening, and welcome to the Dark Ledger. Tonight we dive into a story that is as horrifying as it is heartbreaking. It is the tale of a 15-year-old boy in Iraq, a child whose love for music cost him his life in the most gruesome and public way imaginable. This is a story of innocence lost, of a punishment so severe that it shakes the very foundations of morality, and of a society where fear and control have overshadowed compassion and humanity. The incident took place in a small, tightly knit town in Iraq, a place where the daily rhythm of life was dictated by the call to prayer. For centuries, this practice was a unifying moment for communities, a time for reflection and connection. But in this town, under the control of extremist forces, the call to prayer had taken on a far more oppressive meaning. It was no longer just a spiritual practice. It was a test of submission, a measure of one's adherence to the rigid rules enforced by those in power. At the center of this story is a young boy who we will call Ali, though his real name has been withheld to protect the privacy of his grieving family. Like many teenagers, Ali was curious about the world, full of dreams, and eager to carve out his own space in a life that was anything but easy. One of his few escapes was music. For Ali, music wasn't just entertainment. It was a lifeline, a way to drown out the chaos of the world around him and imagine a life beyond the constraints of his environment. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the muezzin's call to prayer echoed through the streets, Ali made a simple choice that would seal his fate. He placed his headphones over his ears and pressed play on a song that transported him to another world. For a brief moment, he was lost in the rhythm, unaware of the danger that was rapidly approaching. What happened next is almost too brutal to comprehend. Ali was spotted by a group of men who were the self-appointed enforcers of the town's strict interpretation of Sharia law. To them, Ali's actions weren't just an innocent moment of teenage rebellion, they were an unforgivable crime. Listening to music during the call to prayer was, in their eyes, a blatant act of disrespect, an affront to their authority and the values they claimed to uphold. Ali was dragged from his quiet corner to the town square, a place that had become synonymous with public punishment. As the crowd gathered, the air grew heavy with tension. People whispered among themselves, but no one dared to intervene. In this town, to question authority was to invite punishment upon oneself. Fear silenced even the most compassionate hearts. In the square, Ali was accused of defiling the sanctity of prayer time. The punishment was swift and final. Death by beheading. Witnesses recount the chilling scene that unfolded. The executioner, clad in black, stepped forward, his sword glinting in the fading light. Ali, barely more than a child, stood trembling, his pleas for mercy met with stony silence. The crowd watched in eerie quiet until the moment of execution, when the blade fell and the boy's life was cut short. Then, something even more disturbing happened. The crowd erupted in cheers. This horrifying act was not an isolated event. It was a calculated spectacle, designed to instill fear and reinforce the power of those who ruled with an iron fist. But to the outside world, it was a stark reminder of the lengths to which extremist ideologies can go to maintain control. This wasn't about faith. It wasn't about Sharia law in its true form. It was about power and the use of religion as a weapon to silence dissent and crush individuality. Sharia law, when practiced as it was originally intended, is a comprehensive system of Islamic guidance that encompasses everything from personal ethics to criminal justice. It is rooted in the Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, and many Islamic scholars emphasize its focus on mercy, compassion, and justice. What happened to Ali, however, was a grotesque distortion of these principles. Leading voices in the Muslim world have condemned such acts, making it clear that Islam does not condone the killing of innocents. especially not for something as trivial as listening to music. Ali's story forces us to confront some uncomfortable truth. It highlights the ways in which extremist interpretations of religion can be used to justify acts of unspeakable cruelty. It shows us how fear can silence communities, turning neighbors into bystanders and perpetrators into heroes. And it raises the question, how do we stop this from happening again? The answer lies in education, dialogue, and the tireless efforts of those who refuse to let extremism define their faiths or their communities. Around the world, organizations are working to combat radicalization and provide safe spaces for those escaping the grip of extremist ideologies. Religious leaders are stepping forward to clarify the true teachings of their faiths, countering the propaganda that fuels violence and division. But this is not just a problem for Iraq or the Middle East. Extremist ideologies have a way of spreading, infiltrating communities through online propaganda and targeted recruitment. Europe, for example, has seen the rise of radicalized cells, sparking fears that similar atrocities could one day take place on its soil. It's a sobering reminder that this fight is not confined to any one region or religion. It is a global issue that requires a global response. As we reflect on Ali's tragic story, we must also ask ourselves what we can do to prevent such atrocities in the future. How do we build societies where compassion triumphs over fear, where justice is not a weapon but a shield, and where the innocence of a child is never sacrificed on the altar of ideology? Ali's life was cut short, but his story lives on as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a call to action for all of us. It reminds us of the importance of standing up to injustice, no matter how difficult or dangerous it may be. And it challenges us to create a world where no child is ever punished for dreaming, for hoping, or for simply listening to the music that makes them feel alive. Thank you for joining us tonight on The Dark Ledger. If Ali's story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can shine a light on the darkness and work toward a future where such tragedies are not just unthinkable, but impossible. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and never stop questioning the world around you.